Yeah.
That is something which I expect a lot going forward, because everybody's, as I said, people will stop thinking,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it's going to be harder and harder to get a job, you know, with this AI tools are there, and that is something I feel, you know, one thing which will, probably impact or stuff,
Right.
but
And I would think, I mean, I don't know about your opinion on this, but I think that at the level that you're at, using Chat GPT is okay, right?
yeah,
Because you
absolutely,
understand what's going on. You're just trying to find the answers quick. That's it, right?
yeah,
You know, and you don't have to sit there and research on Google and try to find the code and then try it and not get it right. But if you needed to write the code, right, you would figure it out. And because you understand how data frames work, you understand all those different things. And so that I think that's where I would say that the benefit of still having that studying aspect is very important.
very important.
Understanding the basics and foundations, right? Just like you said, a lot of times there's tools out there and all that stuff, but if you don't understand the linear equations, you don't understand how the equations work, you know, it it really doesn't set that foundation. I think no matter what, as the journey goes along, that you still have to have that foundation, right? Stats can be, this basic thing to people, but that it's a foundational process, right? And then if you go on ChatGPT and you try to
Yeah,
find an answer really quick, that's cool if you already know the foundation. But if you go there and you're entry level and you don't really know anything about Power BI or Tableau or even statistics, right, and stuff, and you're just like, or even coding, right, and you just like, oh, let me just find this out, and it gives it to you. You're not really learning it, right? It's like
yeah,
studying for
yeah,
a certification. You're just clicking the answers really quick, and it actually I would equate that to cheating for a certification, right? If you sit
yeah,
there and you're trying to get a certification and you just download all the answers to like Herb and study is all the answers, right? And then you go in there, you pass the certification. Great, you got your certification, and you go in to an interview, and then they see that you have a certification, so they expect you to know some foundational stuff. And then now they ask you some foundational questions, and you're like, "Oh crap, I don't know it. I just passed the certification, right?"
yep, yep. You said a pretty important point. Like, I strongly agree to this. Especially if you are someone who want to start a career in this field, you know, shortcuts is not the way.
Hmm.
Let me put it like that. You have to start from zero, understand everything. Probably when
Hmm.
you are at that level, then you can do this quick. It's kind of escape where you just put it, ask to the chat gpt, he'll give the answer to you.
Yeah.
But if you are someone who was starting, still in the learning process, then I would still recommend, try to learn one thing, which is the art of asking questions.
Hmm.
That is something which
No.
is very important. If you're stuck somewhere, you need to know what I should ask to Google. And
Yeah.
that is what will help you to develop the skill,
Hmm.
asking the right question.
Curiosity, right? Being
Curiosity.
curious, man.
You need to able to communicate your error or where you're stuck or what you want to do
Hmm.
to this computer. And if you do that correctly, it's itself an improvement. I feel like that. What do you think?
No, 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 absolutely. I think that I've learned that's something that they don't teach in school, right? We have kids, right? And I sit there and I realize, right? I'm talking to the 12-year-old, right? And he's sitting there and he has Google, he has the internet at his disposal, right? And he's always on the phone all the time. And he'll ask me the craziest question, and I'm thinking, man, why don't you research in the ad? So they don't even teach research in school like they should at the basic level, right?
Correct.
With the internet at their disposal these days, why not be able to? why not teach? Like that would be probably the best class ever. How to ask the right questions, right?
question.
Because when you ask the right questions, even to Google or even ChatGPT, then you get the answer that you really truly need, right? And then if you ask them, I've sat next to people and we're sitting there researching, and I'm not even doing the research. There's like other people doing it. It's like five of us, and four of them are sitting there trying to figure out what the answer is. They're googling stuff, right? But they never ask the right question. And so then I go in and I'm like, all right, look, let me see, right? I might ask something that's very specific because I know exactly what I need to research,
Yeah.
and then now I get the answer like that, right? You know, that happens all the time. Well, confess, look, as the audience knows, look, this has been an amazing experience, right? And I usually leave with what I call a dope nugget or gem at the end, and it's a summarization. I've taken so many gems from this conversation. Has been amazing. The importance of Excel, right? That is something that I truly believe now. I'm going to go back and dive into Excel more because I felt like I skipped the process, right? And one of the things you pointed out, right, it's not about Python coding, right? You got Chat GPT out there these days, right? It's not about learning R. It's not about learning so many different aspects along that journey, right? From ingest all the way to visualization. It's about communicating with the stakeholders, right? Communication is probably one of the most important things, and I think it's a lost art, of how to ask the right question and how to communicate. And so you dropped that. That was very important, and and I would recommend, and I'm sure Kapesh will recommend, follow follow the process, right? Don't skip it. Don't be lazy, right? And go straight to Chat GPT. Understand the process, and then that helps you understand the right question. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience with?
Yep. One thing I would definitely suggest to the audience is there are no shortcuts.
Hmm.
I talk to, people a lot. I have conversations with them. They just want to, get job. It
Hmm.
doesn't happen like that. You need to, go through that process, understand entire thing, because right now everybody wants to get into this field.
Hmm.
It's booming. For one application, there is like one job. There's 1,000 people here applying for it.
Hmm.
If you take shortcuts, it's not going to happen. So stay patient. Probably take a step, one step back. Understand, you know, whether this field is for you or not.
Hmm.
Sometimes you just want to ride the wave,
Yeah.
but it's very important to understand whether you want to do this for the next 10 years,
Hmm.
because that is some because you know I have seen like so many of them, they just want to get into data analytics or data
Hmm.
science. And I ask them like what, like do you see yourself working, like why,
Hmm.
like why do you want to, like where does this interest develop? No, everybody is doing it, it's like booming, that's why.
Make good
Like what,
money. It's all good.
it's not. So if this really interests, because people think it's a lot of money involved, but there's a lot of, you know responsibilities there, a lot of challenges there.
Yeah.
You, as I said, you know it's not about tools. Anybody can learn tool and do the work.
Hmm.
It's also about, with your, you know analysis or your observations, somebody is going to make or lose money.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's not piece of cake which has been made, you know right now. People think that it's piece of cake, anybody can get into this field. It's not like that.
Hmm.
So something out of box, if I had to advise anyone, first develop the interest, research about this field before you get into this field, understand whether you want to do this for long term in career, what was the main, goal, like why I'm coming here. Because I've seen people who get into this field, and when the responsibility comes, they just panic.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is something that I would like to add. And yep.
I mean, that's a great point. I mean, that whole journey, it takes more than just, it takes curiosity, it takes interest, it takes time and patience. And when I first started out, as we talked about before the podcast started, that I wanted to be a data scientist, right? I didn't know why. I just felt like that was the thing that everybody probably was going to do, right? Be a data scientist. The more I delve into that, I understood the differences between data scientists, machine learning engineer, right? Data analyst, things like that. And I said, well, do I really want to be a data scientist? Probably not. I didn't want to do that. And I realized that, data analytics was more of an exciting journey for me, right? You know, that beginning, understand the process, analyze it. I love exploratory data analysis, right? I'm so curious. I ask so many questions all the time, and I learned that all of that, even though I was passionate about it, it all took patience and it took me diving into it, tremendously, trying to, have trial and errors, right? Going in and trying to figure stuff out, right? Getting on Kaggle, right? And trying to do some of that myself and understanding you're not getting paid for all that studying, right? you know, and so you want to take the journey wherever you do, right? You know that you're not getting money for it. That's the true passion right there, because I'm sure that to get to the journey that you had, you didn't initially say, "Hey, look, I want to create Data Analyst Duo. We're gonna go right for it. We're gonna jump in. We're gonna make money right now." You didn't get that. It took time, right? It took a lot of effort along the journey, along the way. So, thank you for that, man. This has been exciting. Now it's time to jump into a little bit of fun. All right. The audience always loves this segment, right? Because we're always geeking it out. All we do is geek it out. I mean, I'm sitting there right now after you, I'm getting ready to go into doing some SQL statements and stuff to try to figure some crap out, right? For this data set for a school system. And so, I'm working on that, right? Before this podcast, I was working on my Power BI framework for this other contract, right? And so all I do is, I mean, my wife hates it, right? I just breathe, sleep, eat data analytics, data science stuff, and I try not to like throw it at her, right? Because she does something totally different. But we do have fun. We have opinions, right? We have opinions about certain things that has nothing to do with data analytics. So I like to play
Great.
this game. It's called overrated, underrated. You get to decide whether you think it's overrated, underrated, or right where it needs to be. You can explain it if you want to. If not, we can just keep it moving. Are you ready?
Yep. Looks
Okay.
exciting.
The printer.
Printer, underrated.
Underrated? Oh my goodness. You're jumping into the old school, man.
Why I said underrated.
Uh,
Simple story. Uh, after my MSc, I was like interviewing, and I got rejected so many, almost 15, 16 interviews I got rejected from. And this last company which I had applied to, it came after a period of time. So in that period, I was like not having any job and stuff. So it's like I have to do something out of the box.
hmm
And they gave me a case study, and I solved it. I took the printouts of
Yeah.
all my entire analysis and
Uh,
submitted to them. And they got impressed, and I got the job.
yeah.
So so that's why.
That's bias, man. The bias data is there, man. No, that was a good one. That was a good story behind it. All right. Okay. Pizza.
Overrated.
Overrated? I know I'm
Yeah,
starting to think it's overrated too, man. I'm tired of it. The
I'm
kids
also
love
tired
it.
of it.
I'm like, what in the world, man? It has no end. They're always going to be pizza.
I literally
They. All right, cricket.
Ah, I can't say it is overrated. I can't say it is underrated. Somewhere in the
Uh,
middle. Cricket, I used to. I love cricket.
hmm.
It's in India. It's crazy for
Yeah,
us.
it's a big thing. And a matter of fact, the Cole Basics, right? He has like a whole study on cricket, right? He's like
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
that. So I didn't
It's a
know
big thing.
that it was that big in India.
It's
Is
very
it
big.
is it probably the biggest sport you would say?
Yeah, biggest sport
Okay,
in India,
okay,
and you just have to watch it. It's crazy, crazy atmosphere.
yeah, yeah.
After, I would
I
say
like it.
after World Cup, football World Cup, like the
Mhm,
FIFA one, probably
mhm,
the most watched. It should be like cricket. There's the India Pakistan match
mhm.
that is the most watched in
Oh man,
all over the world. So it's that's good.
man, man. All right, the television.
Television. What do you think? Like, it's
I
not overrated.
I don't think it's overrated.
Yeah,
I don't I think it's right where it needs to be, but it does take up my time sometimes, right? I just get lost in it, especially if you're binge watching like certain shows and you just love it so much. You're like, I gotta get to the next one. And I'm
yeah.
sitting there trying to code at the same time, or I'm trying to do something at the same time. It kind of takes over my time, right? Sometimes.
It definitely does take, but I feel still like it is still an important thing. Like you need to get chill out,
Hmm.
away from all this stuff.
Yeah,
So
thinking all the time, right? Just a mindless thing. I agree. I agree. All right, hardcover books.
underrated.
Uh-huh.
I still write all my notes in book.
Oh,
You,
nice. Nice.
yeah. I don't use anything online or stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, I've been told a lot of times to write it on OneNote or do this or
Right, right.
do
Because you
that.
can share it, right? You can share it out and stuff.
you know Even though what I do is you will see always you'll see a pen in my hand and there is book and I
Hmm.
always scribble down all the time. Yeah. Then later on I all get it into OneNote so that everybody can see.
Right,
But I
right.
love writing.
Okay, okay. All right. Bollywood.
Bollywood kind of overrated, I would say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Would you
There
recommend
are
people like tourists to check it out? Check out Bollywood in India?
definitely there are
Okay.
some movies. If you want to get entertained,
Hmm.
like then you can watch Bollywood. Just entertainment. Like
Okay.
if you want to, yeah, it's pure entertainment. We call it masala movie.
Hmm.
Like you will see fights, romance, sadness, everything you will find
Oh, okay.
in Bollywood movies. But I
All right.
feel like
Okay.
I've stopped watching it for a long time since all this OTT has come. Because on
Hmm.
OTT they have been started, putting down some, you know, more exciting movies than So yeah, I feel it's kind of overrated.
All right. Two more. Holidays.
Holidays underrated, I would say. It's very
Uh-huh.
important.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
Are you a
important
big
to take.
family guy?
I not I won't say a family guy, but when there is week off or something, I spend time with my family.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Being able to spend those times, right, where everything shuts down, I think it's important. Even if you're just spending it with your significant other,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
always big on that. And that's my time to really say, all right, I won't even look at my phone to get, business or anything like that. It's okay. And it's like forcing you to, really be in tune with whatever you got going on at home and outside
Yeah.
of just your day-to-day experiences and stuff. All right, the last one, Amazon.
You were talking about shopping website or Prime?
Okay, so let's talk
Uh,
about Amazon. Let's get maybe a little technical, maybe AWS, right? The Amazon Cloud
cloud
service.
is, yeah. So I thought you are not getting into data, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. No, actually, you're right. Let's talk about Amazon, the shipping, the shopping, and all that stuff. Let's talk about that.
it's you know I shifted to a new house like a day before yesterday, and if you
Uh-huh.
see my Amazon, you will see so much shopping there.
Uh-huh.
So it's not overrated. Like I like it.
All right, all
You
right. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, man. I'm agreeing with you. Well, look, Kalpesh, I appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you, audience. You're listening to Data Amazon podcast. Show to make data your passion. I'm your host, Dapper Data. Where can they reach you at, Kalpesh? And is there anything that you want to share with the audience?
Thank you so much. Like I love this conversation. Like it's my first time. I was pretty much nervous before this call, also during the call. But you're a very good host, and
Thank
it's
you.
it was fun.
Thank you, thank you. No, and audience, definitely check out Kapesh and his other half out there on Data Analyst Duo, at Data Analyst Duo on Instagram. They have an amazing, amazing page where they're definitely sitting there promoting data analyst topics all the time. So definitely check it out if it's something you're interested in. Audience, you can reach me at Mr. Dapper Data on any one of the social media platforms. I love you all. Peace. Until next time.